Good morning. We're here with Mr. Joe McClure. Mr. McClure, tell us a little bit about your experience with cancer and how did it begin?
Well, I was always used to taking an annual physical in the Air Force, and when I retired I came to Fort Campbell and they suggested I do it every 5 years. Well, I insisted on having an annual physical, and about 1985 I was diagnosed with prostate cancer. And had I not been getting my annual physical, I wouldn't have had the screening, and therefore examinations and screenings and physicals are the thing that you really should have at any age. And I was only 40, in my mid-40s when I had prostate cancer, and that was due to Agent Orange exposure in Vietnam.
And you're in remission now, fully recovered?
I have been ever since I had the surgery. I had a radical, which meant I was left incontinent, impotent, and without a lot of ambition or encouragement. But through the church and my family and my responsibility to my wife and 4 children, I was able to overcome it all, and with God's help.
Well, you mentioned your family. If you will, elaborate a little bit further on how this experience has affected your family.
Well, you know, the children, they were pretty young, and they weren't too much aware of cancer, so it wasn't, we didn't sit around and talk about how bad it was or anything. But I had to go through about 7 surgeries altogether, and just as I get away from one surgery, I go into another, but it didn't affect the children. They just kept on with their things, and I went to ball games with them, and a lot of times I was embarrassed due to the incontinence, but we made it through it fine.
You also mentioned your faith earlier.
Oh, yes.
Elaborate on that. How important has it been? How has it helped you?
Well, our church, Big Rock Baptist Church, was always there. The people came to visit me quite often, and we kept attending church, and I still do, of course. And about 2 years ago, I was installed, had another surgery. They installed me a sphincter, which is supposed to control my bladder more, and it worked for about a year or so. The church was always, I went to church, I told them I got up, because sometimes you get depressed when things like this happen. And I just felt a little depressed about it, so I got up in church and told about being incontinent for 25 years or thereabout, and that I was getting a sphincter to control it. And I was controlled for about the next year, but now I'm back where I'm incontinent almost completely. But that's all right.
During your experiences with cancer, have you been able to use, or have you used, any of the American Cancer Society services?
No, I haven't. Never had a need to, because Fort Campbell took very good care of me.
Well, what are some of the services that Fort Campbell has offered that people might not be aware of?
Well, you know, I didn't need any, well, I thought I did, and I still don't feel like I needed any outside, you know, like my wife. She belonged to these groups and things. I just never attended any, and never. But I do go to relays. I've been to several relays, and I go and I do talk to other people about prostate cancer. People call me from Fort Campbell and want to know about what's happened to me and how I've overcame it.
Is there anything that you would like to add as a final parting thought to someone who's going through this that might offer them comfort and encouragement?
Well, I've always taken the advice of my doctors. If I have a doctor, I've always had faith in them, and I took their advice and done what they told me. If they told me that I needed to have a radical, I took the radical instead of chemo or a radiation. And if they told me I needed to do implant, I said, okay, let's go. Right now I have 3 different implants in my body, all 3 advice of my doctors.
Well, Mr. McClure, we're happy that you're cancer-free. We are glad that you're here with us today to share your story. We certainly wish you many, many more years. If I may indulge myself, a visit to a local eatery in Clarksville tells me that you have an experience with a famous aircraft, and while that has nothing to do with cancer, it just kind of adds more to the personal story. you might want to, would you like to share what the famous aircraft that you've worked on?
Well, I'll tell you a little bit about my background. I came from West Virginia, born of 14 children. My father was crippled up in coal mines in 1945, never worked a day after that. But he and mother kept on having babies, so consequently they had 14 of us. Nobody in the family worked with us children, and that's how we survived. And in 1969, I came back from Vietnam after spending 4 years over there. Spent 3 years flying in and out of Vietnam on medevac planes, flying wounded troops out. Then I went over and spent a year in South Vietnam, and I'm talking about the southernmost city, Vong Tao. And on the way back, I was nominated and selected after a rigid investigation. And so I was selected to fly as a crew member for President Nixon's administration. And I flew with a lot of politicians like Henry Kissinger, Barry Goldwater, Hubert Humphrey, and so on. And then in 71, I was chosen as an alternate crew member on Air Force One to fly with Richard Nixon and Gerald Ford.
Very, very interesting, and I'm glad I asked the question to get the background on your family. 14 brothers and sisters.
Well, they haven't fared so well. As a matter of fact, I have a sister in Florida right now. She's probably 8 years younger than I. She's not expected to survive. And out of 14 of us, there's only 4 of us left, myself and 3 others.
Well, again, Mr. McClure, we thank you for being here with us today. And again, it's our sincere wish that you have many, many more years to tell your story.